James Harden finally traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. So all offseason, that's the destination James Harden wanted to go. And him obviously in the Philadelphia 76ers, a bad breakup. And now it's best for both sides. So James Harden, he joins Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, the big players over there for this Los Angeles Clipper team. And right now, this is where he wanted to be. But we know the last couple seasons, Harden has won his welcome pretty quickly with Brooklyn, only stayed there a season. And then even last season with the Philadelphia 76ers, he wanted out. Many people thought he was going back to Houston in free agency, but obviously wasn't going to happen. So last season was another solid year for James Harden. 21 points a game, 6.1 rebounds, 10.7 assists, 2.8 threes, and 44% from the field. So right now this Clipper team, like I said, they got a lot of big-time scorers on the team, but also a lot of injury-prone type of players as well, like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So I think the points per game are going to drop for Harden. I think the assists per game are going to go up for him. And just the efficiency from the field might go up as well, easier looks, because if all these guys could stay healthy, that's some roster over there with top heavy with those four players on the team. So Harden wanted to go to Los Angeles, and let's see if he'll like it or he'll get tired of it as the season goes on. So right now, blockbuster deal. The other players in the deal, PJ Tucker going to the Los Angeles Clippers. So Tucker was surprised and he was thrown in to this deal as well. So PJ Tucker, we know he's a 3-and-D guy. Not much fantasy value anymore at this point of his career. Last season with Philly, only 3.5 points a game, 3.9 rebounds. And so far with the 76ers, he did play only in one of the ball games of the first three. So pretty much he might have wanted out as well as PJ Tucker. So they get a nice defensive player. Is this Los Angeles Clipper team. A guy could fill in if George and Leonard are going to miss games, which obviously is going to happen with those two ball players. But in terms of fantasy basketball, I don't see him scoring enough or doing enough of one thing to have much fantasy value. But as a real-life move, it's a great throw-in to the deal as well. Now the players going back from the Clippers to Philly, Nicholas Batum, we know he's been a solid pro throughout his career. We know his best days, obviously, with the Portland Trailblazers and the Hornets, but he's a nice role player and a guy who could step into a decent minutes role, even though Tyrese Maxey is going to get the most upside and the most fantasy value out of this trade for players in Philadelphia. So Nicholas Batum last season, 6.1 points a game, 3.8 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 1.6 threes. So he's another guy, 3-and-D type of player out there in 97% of fantasy leagues. And only the deepest leagues he's really going to have any fantasy value is Nicholas Batum. But is a good, solid player to start. Small forward to come off the bench 20-25 minutes here. I think he could be decent for this Philadelphia team. And even though they blew it up, I think this Philly team still can make a decent run into the playoffs here. You got guys like Tyrese Maxey, like I said, and Melton's pretty solid. Joel Embiid's still one of the best players in the league and the reigning MVP, obviously. And then to add good role players and veterans like a Batum, now Marcus Morris, who we know could hit the three ball and score the basketball off the bench as well. One of the better big men scorers in the league. Last season, 11.2 points a game, 4 boards, 1.8 assists, 1.7 threes, and 42% from the field. So far this season, Morris hasn't played. And as a backup power forward center option, his Philadelphia 76er team, I think he could be pretty decent here, is Marcus Morris. A lot of depth coming their way for this team. But in terms of fantasy basketball, I don't think enough minutes will be there for Morris to come in and be a fantasy option. And Robert Covington as well. He's another guy that's not going to score the basketball a lot, but play good defense, be a hustle player, could pass the basketball pretty well, rebound. And last year for him, 6 points a game, 3.5 boards, 1.2 assists, 1.1 threes, and 44% from the field. So right here, Robert Covington is a good role player. He's a guy that can help out the Sixer team. But Covington, Morris, and Batum, they're not going to have any fantasy value for the most part, only in the deepest of leagues. But as role players and guys that can help this 76er team get to the playoffs and be those key veterans that can hit the three ball when you need them, I think that's where they're going to help for the most part here, is those players. And Kenyon Martin Jr. as well in the deal, a young guy that they could help over the next few seasons, possibly as this Philadelphia 76er team. But I don't see him seeing the court that much as well this year. So last season, 12.7 points a game, 5.5 boards, 1.5 assists, and 56% from the field. So it was a good haul of players now. But obviously this trade was about the draft picks as well, where they got a first round, 2026, 28, and then picks 29 and a 24 second round pick, and then pick swaps as well. So right here is about the picks more than anything for the Philadelphia 76ers and them just cleaning their hands of James Harden. So right now, this Clipper team, they got the small window to try to compete for a championship, where some of these players are free agents as well, and George and Kawhi went in after the season. But right now, I like the deal for Philly. They're getting their draft picks. They're getting rid of James Harden, who didn't want to be there anymore. And now James Harden, he's going to another destination where he wanted to be. But we've seen this year after year with Harden, it seems like, where he wanted to go to Brooklyn, he went there. He wasn't happy. Then he wanted to go to Philadelphia, one of the teams. He went there. It just didn't work out for a couple seasons. And now he's here with the Clippers. So a monster blockbuster deal only a week into the season, with James Harden finally going to Los Angeles where he wants to be. And we'll see if he can help this Los Angeles Clipper team get to the promised land and possibly win the whole thing this year, even though a lot of things got to go right, in my opinion, for that to happen for the remainder of the 2023 season.